Today we're talking about managing your eBay store because selling on eBay is awesome, truly awesome. And most new eBay sellers think the hard part is getting more listings live. After all, more products means more inventory, more chances to sell, more ways to grow your store. When your store is small, growth is simple though. You list more items, improve a few titles, tidy up a few templates, check stock when you need to. It all starts to work, right? But then something strange happens. Your store gets bigger. I mean, everything grows. Suddenly you're making 10, 20, 50K a month and life is great. As if somehow this is when you start to feel like you're less in control. Store's not failing. In many ways, the store is working better than ever. And this is what makes the problem so frustrating. You're not stuck at the beginning anymore, trying to prove whether eBay can even work. You're already managing all these listings, inventory. You have movement in your store. But the bigger the store gets, the heavier it starts to feel. A simple update can feel risky. A bulk change feels like it could create a mess. And jobs that used to feel easy now feel like they have too many hidden consequences. So the real question suddenly is not, why is this store failing? Better question is, why does a successful eBay store often become harder to manage after it starts working? The deeper problem is this. The store has grown, but the workflow behind the store has not grown with it. At a small size, your brain can be the system. You remember which listing needs work. You know where the stock is. You know which templates are old. You know which products have variations, and you know which listings need a price change. You even know where things are tracked. And if something looks wrong, you can usually fix it manually. At 50 listings, that might work. At a few hundred listings, it might still feel manageable, but once the store starts moving into hundreds or thousands of listings, memory stops being the system. It becomes a bottleneck. And this is the shift that a lot of sellers do not actually see coming. Because more listings are not just more of the same work. They multiply every weak part of the workflow. A slow update is not just annoying anymore. It becomes a cost. An inconsistent template is not just one listing that needs cleaning up. It becomes a store-wide maintenance problem. A stock mistake is not just a small error. It can turn into overselling, refunds, customer service issues, negative feedback, and time wasted checking things that should already be clear. And this is why growth can feel kind of strange. On paper, more listings should mean more opportunity. But in practice, more listings can also mean more admin, more checking, more rework, and more small problems hiding inside your store. That does not mean the store is too big. It means the workflow is too small for the store. A simple way to think about this is the difference between keeping a few boxes in a spare room of your house and running a warehouse. If you only have a few boxes, you do not need a serious system. You can walk in, look around, and usually you know what is where. But once you have shelves, labels, stock locations, old items, daily movement, and things changing all the time, memory is simply not enough anymore. It's not manageable. You need structure. You need to know what is where, what changed, what needs attention or adjustment, what is safe to update, and what happens if something actually goes wrong. The same thing happens with an eBay store. At a small size, you can rely on memory spreadsheets, seller hub, manual checks, and your own attention. But after a certain point, that starts to break down. The first warning sign is that you stop fully trusting the way that the store is actually being managed. That is the real problem. Because when sellers talk about being overwhelmed, they often describe it as a time issue. I don't have enough time, or I have too much admin. There are too many listings to update. And sometimes that is true, but very often underneath the time problem is a trust problem. You want to make a bulk change, but you hesitate because you are not completely sure what it will actually affect. Too many cogs in a wheel. You update inventory, but you still check another spreadsheet because you do not fully trust the numbers. You know, some listings need cleaning up, but the job feels too messy to start. And you know, some templates are inconsistent, but fixing them feels like it might create even more work than it actually solves. And every time you try to improve the store, there is a small question in the back of your mind. Am I about to create more problems for myself? That hesitation matters. Because when you do not trust your workflow, you slow down, you check more, you delay more, you avoid changes, you leave problems in place because touching them just feels risky. And that creates a very specific kind of a pressure. Not panic, not total chaos, just a constant sense that the store needs attention in too many places at once. This is easiest to see with bulk editing. A lot of sellers think the value of bulk editing is speed, and yes, speed matters. And if you need to update 800 listings, you obviously do not want to open each one of them manually, but speed is not the real value. The real value is confidence. Because the scary part of bulk editing is not that it is slow. The scary part is that it is fast. A bad manual change might create one problem. A bad bulk change can create hundreds. So the question is not just how fast can I make this change? Better question is, can I make this change without creating a mess? Because a fast bulk edit you do not trust is not really fast. If you still have to check everything manually afterwards, the time saving just disappears. If you're nervous about what changed, the workflow that you have in place still feels risky. And if one wrong change can create a store-wide problem, speed alone is not enough. You need controlled bulk work. You need to find the right listings, understand exactly what you're changing, apply updates consistently, and trust what happened afterwards. That is very different from simply asking whether a tool has bulk editing. Templates reveal the same problem in a different way, actually. When your store is small, inconsistent templates are annoying, but it's still manageable. You can fix a listing here and there. You can remember which listings were built the old way. You can manually adjust the ones that look wrong, but as the store grows, templates stop being just a cosmetic. They become infrastructure. Because a template is not just how a listing looks. It affects how consistently the store presents products, how easily listings can be revised, and how quickly old information can actually be cleaned up, and how much manual work is needed every time something changes. If every listing feels slightly different, every improvement becomes heavier than it should be. And the real cost of poor inventory control is not only overselling, it is that every number starts to feel suspicious. And that is the change that every serious seller eventually has to make. Now, these are simple 3 questions that you have to ask yourself. If I had to update hundreds of listings today, could I confidently find the exact listings that need changing? If I made that change, could I easily verify that it happened afterwards? If I had to step away from the store for a few days, would the system still make sense without everything living in my head? And look, Wunderlister is built for serious eBay sellers who have reached the point where creating listings is no longer the hard part. The hard part is keeping the whole operation organized, reliable, and easier for you. So if your store has started to outgrow the basic tools, Seller Hub alone, or spreadsheets, or manual processes, use the link below to start your 15-day free trial. And as you test it, do not just ask whether it helps you create listings faster. There's plenty of software that can do that. Ask whether it helps you trust the way your store is being managed. Because managing more listings should not mean losing control. It should mean easier life.